Hi guys. In this video, we are going to talk about how do you study CPA audit exam in an effective manner. I'm your instructor Ayush Bajaj and let's do this. Now, if you are a current CPA enrolled student and you are preparing for audit exam, or if you are a potential student who is planning to enroll for CPA exam, now these videos that I am creating uh, are very important for you because in these videos we actually talk about how do you study effectively, right? So the auditing exam is comprised of 72 MCQs and 8 task-based simulations currently. There is a slight change when we are heading towards the CPA exam changes in 2024 onwards. There is a slight change in the pattern of MCQs and TBS, all right? So we'll talk about that in a separate video. Now, the very first step is that please do not try to cram everything. You need to think like an auditor. Now, what do we mean by this is when we look at the audit manual, the textbook, it's a huge manual, right? And since it's 100% theoretical, it's audit, guys, it's theory, it's all theory, it's 100% theory. Now, it's very common that when we are actually studying theory exam paper, we tend to think that, okay, let me just cram up everything. Let me just cram the language. Now, when you are doing that, my dear friends, it is not possible. You're a human, right? It is not possible to cram each and every word of your manual. Okay, so this approach will waste your time and nothing else. You do not need to cram everything up. Think like an auditor. When you think like an auditor, uh, uh, what do we mean when I say that you need to think like an auditor? We all have been auditors in our lives, right? Yes, you heard that right. Even if you're not working as an auditor, here and there, you might have thought like an auditor. Give you an example. Suppose you are taking a decision, you are looking at something, you are listening to something, some of your friends are telling you something as taking an advice from you. It can be anything, right? Now, at that moment, you might have thought before giving your advice or while listening to something that, oh, there is a problem. This can go wrong, right? Don't do this. It will lead to this, right? So somewhere, sometimes we all have done that. And that is you thinking like an auditor. You are trying to analyze what can go wrong, what could go wrong, right? So just think from an auditor perspective. Do not try to cram up everything. Just understand the concept, guys. You don't have to write anything in CPA exam. That's the beauty of this exam. You don't have to write anything down. You just have to understand the concept. All right. This was the first step. Second step is how do you study for a theoretical exam paper? Yes, you don't have to cram up the things. Then what is the alternative? A lot of students ask me, Ayush, that, okay, if you say that we don't have to cram this huge textbook, then what should we do? And those of you who have studied from me, those students who have studied from me, they will tell you how effective my flowcharts and infographics are. I have a habit of explaining audit, the entire audit in the form of flowcharts and infographics for better retention. You also do that. When you are looking at a topic, make your notes, make flowcharts, make some infographics, make some funny mnemonics, which will help you to remember the concepts. All right. That is the effective way. That is a good way to study for theoretical exam papers. And yes, the very important tip is practice is the only way to ace this exam. Now, within a concept also, there can be n number of situations that I can make. The examiner can test you on various different types of questions, various different types of patterns, various different types of scenarios. And since you have to answer, you have to get to the correct answer. How will your mind know how to think if you have a particular scenario? That will only happen when you are actually practicing a lot of exam questions, a lot of practice questions. And you are well versed that, okay, if this is the situation, I need to think on these lines. If this is the situation, I need to think on those lines. right? And your mind will only get trained to think like this in situations if and only if you practice well. All right. So these three are very, very important things that you need to consider. The fourth one is that it will happen, and it will definitely happen in some questions, that when you are reading the questions, you will not be able to get to the correct answer. Yes, you heard that right. It will happen that when you are sitting in front of that computer and you are reading the question, sometimes you will not be able to come to the correct answer directly. Then what should we do? There is a second alternative approach that I always suggest my students to take, and that is elimination approach. When in doubt, use that elimination approach. Now, what do I mean by that elimination approach? There will always be some options that you can rule out. You can eliminate some of the options, right? If you have four options, you can easily eliminate two of them, right? So after eliminating two options, you're left with the two options only. You still have 50% chance of getting it correct, right? So if you use a little bit of brain, I'm sure out of those two options, you would be able to come to the correct option. Now, some students ask me, Ayush, this is fine. That's a brilliant approach. But what if between those two options also, I am not able to come to the correct answer? In that case, take a guess. Yes, you heard that right, guys. Take a guess, but do not leave the question blank. There is no negative marking involved. If you take a guess, you still have 50% chance of having it correct. All right. But use this guessing work only and only in those questions wherein you think that you're not able to come to the correct answer, and you think that you will take a lot of time. Even if you think that you will take a lot of time, there is always an option to mark the question as a flag. Flag that question. What will happen once you are done with the testlet? Then before submitting it, those questions will come up again, which you have flagged. So you can take up those questions later on. All right. The next and a very important approach is stay within the scenario. Now, this has been observed multiple times. Uh, when I take CPA sessions for corporate professionals, right, for corporate employees, what happens is, because they are actually doing this practically, because they are into auditing practically also, what they do is they get a question and they start relating to what they are doing. Now, there can be a slight difference between the theoretical concepts and how do you actually implement those concepts practically, right? So it might happen that you think that, oh, but we do this, so the answer should be this. No, just restrict yourselves within the scenario. Sometimes you will think, but auditors should do this, it would be better. No. Is it asked in the question? Is the question asking you that? Just answer whatever the question asks you within the information given in the question itself. Don't go beyond the scenario. Don't go beyond that question. All right. So you stay within the scenario. And finally, use common sense, guys. You will be amazed how brilliantly you will be able to answer the audit questions if you just use a little bit of common sense. All right. So these are 6 tips, guys. I hope these would be beneficial once you're preparing for audit exam. We'll meet in the next video, guys, wherein I will be giving you tips to study regulation effectively. Stay tuned for more videos, guys. All the very best, and thank you so much for connecting. Yes, one more thing, guys. If you think that some of your friends would be benefiting from this video, or you personally like this video, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave your comments in the comment box below. I'll see you in the next video, guys.